Alright, so I've done a lot of updating, and you can see that it looks a lot more like an actual game now. I've pretty much fully sprited out the main character, and you can see that he's fully animated. I used a program called Spriter to animate the sprites. It's a tweening program that you basically just plug in the parts, and then you can move them around like an actual skeleton. So yeah, here's the walk. I've implemented a run animation. I'm particularly fond of the run animation. It looks pretty smooth. Um, and I've also added a jump. I use the spinning jump, from Contra and Metroid and whatnot, because it's fairly easy to implement and it pretty much always looks good. And then I also have this boosting animation that I plan on using as a visual indicator to show when you can, for example, boost through an enemy. Because if you were to contact an enemy at any other point, you would just take damage or die or whatnot. Um, I've done some work with the backgrounds and the tile sets as well, and you can see that, for example, this cloud he's standing in front of, but this tree he's standing behind. I've added 2 layers of tiles so that I can do more interesting things with the background and settings and whatnot. So that, for example, you can simulate running through a forest by placing trees in the foreground and foreground. What else? I'm still fiddling with the camera. You can see that as he moves forward, the camera projects a certain distance ahead depending on how fast he's going. Um, so you can see that when he's actually running, the camera is really far forward so that you can predict when things are coming.
I brought you a
But when
letter!
he's walking, it only predicts a certain amount forward, and then it reverts back to a normal position when he's standing. Um, the problem with the camera right now is that it's kind of jittery. You can see that, like, when you immediately go into a run, the camera just jumps forward, and that could be a little jarring. So I kind of wanted to see opinions on that, see what people think as to um, how the camera should move, and if that jump would be annoying in any way. Um, but I mean, you can see, like, compare them, because I haven't implemented it for a leftward movement, just to compare. So I mean, this is projecting ahead. This is not. Um, I've also changed the running mechanic. So instead of double tapping, you now just press um, the dash button at any time to begin running. Um, and this also comes with another mechanic, which I call sprinting, where tapping the dash button makes you run faster. It's a little jittery with the camera movement when you're running to the right, but it looks pretty smooth, and this is a mechanic I've always wanted to implement. So you basically have 2 functions for the dash button. It's hold to charge and then boost, and then tap to sprint. Sprinting, however, leaves you vulnerable because the faster you go, the less time you have to react to obstacles that are coming up. Um, I want to make this game primarily based on maintaining momentum, similar to the Mario and Sonic series of platformers. Um, so being able to respond to obstacles as they come, while maintaining your momentum, is going to be very important. I'll probably add in some sort of timer scoring system as well, to really uh, make sure that players are trying to beat levels as quickly as possible and whatnot. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's basically it for this update. In the next update, I'm going to be trying to implement, in particular, slopes, because slopes will allow the player to increase elevation and maintain momentum without having to jump. Because you can see, like, these things, like if I wanted to make a hill right here, he could just simply run over it as opposed to getting stuck and then having to jump over it. Because walls like this can kind of mess up your momentum if you hit them. I'm also going to implement more particle effects, so I'll have a particle for when he's charging so that you can see how long he's been charging and if he's at max charge. I might actually make a particle for the sprint, but I'm still trying to figure out exactly how I want to handle particles. I was thinking of making a separate entity and just overlaying that entity over the character, and then just have that entity play the animation for the particles. But I was hoping that there might be an easier way to, or a less memory intensive way to do it, because making an entity for each particle might be more time consuming and memory consuming than I'd like. Um, so yeah, that's where I am right now. I might start doing enemies as well, um, but uh, for now the basic gameplay is mostly finished, and I just have to implement features basically like enemies and checkpoints and slopes and stuff. So the character is basically done. I mean, there's just a little polish to be done, but the gameplay for the character is basically done, and I have what is the beginning of an actual game going on. So yeah, that's where I am, and I'll be updating again in a week, and then after that update will be the final stage of the game.